Hey everybody, welcome to episode 61 of the AskDAP show, where we answer your Volkswagen Audi questions. On this episode, we talk about tuning a Mark 7 track car, immobilizer features on the Mark 7, and Chinese-made parts.
Paul, thanks for your informative videos and products. I'm close to pulling the trigger on a performance upgrade on a 2016 Golf R. 5 days out of the year, I tracked the car for a full intense day of heavy braking, acceleration, and shifting. I'm convinced that the car's performance would benefit from an upgrade, especially to boost horsepower, torque, in the lower gears. With that said, I only need this boost for a limited time throughout the year, perhaps for intense summer tracking months. My question is, would the Unitronic Uniconnect allow for frequent and easy uninstall and reinstalls, or would this situation better be served with power modules such as the JB1 or Neuspeed? Thanks.
Alright, so you have a Mark 7 Golf R, you are looking to track the car, and then you're trying to figure out what's the best solution for you. Here's my first thoughts on this. Of course, tuning is always going to be your best bang for your buck when it comes to performance for Volkswagen Audi models. That's pretty much true for all turbo cars in general. If you're tracking your car and you want to, I guess my question is, I'm not sure why you would want to go back and forth from stock to tuned. And same thing goes, I guess my first thought is maybe you're thinking you want to maintain warranty and that's why you're flipping back and forth a lot. You can flash your car, once you have Uniconnect, you can flash your car back and forth from stock to tuned as many times as you want with that Uniconnect cable. My only thought about doing JB1 or a Neuspeed power module would be because you're trying to maintain warranty, which my thought on it is that, first of all, if you're tracking your car, the likelihood you're not going to have a warranty issue to begin with related to the fact that your car is on a racetrack. If you have a fault that's at, let's say, 7,500 RPM or some weird circumstance, they're gonna know your car has been tracked and you're not going to have coverage anyway. So if that's probably your main concern, I would say go with the tune because that's going to be the best output for the vehicle. It's going to be tuned properly for the vehicle on engine dynos and things like that. A lot of the other stuff requires tweaking to really get the desired result out of it with JB1 stuff, and then obviously Neuspeed power modules are a little bit different. They don't have a lot of that tweakability. So hopefully that helps. But if you're tracking your car, obviously power is great. I would also recommend probably thinking about brake pads for the track, maybe pads and rotors to keep for track days and stuff on their own.
Ryan via YouTube says, are your Prexa PCV Chinese also? I have one of these $30 Chinese PCV in your Prexa and they look identical, even where the Prexa logo is shaved seems to match the other one. Not knocking on all Chinese stuff though, I use eBay a lot. I know China is a huge market for VW and they have a lot of factories.
Ryan, so our Prexa valves, those are an aftermarket valve. They actually are made in China. The one thing I wanted to say about this is this stuff gets super complicated when we've gotten into a lot of things being produced in China. You're mentioning that a lot of cars are produced in China. That's true. VW doesn't really produce any cars for this market in China. Parts are really tough because just because a part looks similar doesn't mean it's the same part. Are they made in the same place? I can't really tell you. I know Prexa is a company who actually is a German-based company that we work with. They do offer aftermarket valves that are made in China, but they are thoroughly vetted by us. We've tested them to verify that the quality is solid. Obviously, we back them. They have a 2-year warranty on them. So that particular product, I would say, I can't really tell you if it's the same. I make the assumption that if you compare one to the other, one of them costs 30 bucks, the other one costs obviously significantly more. The likelihood that there was a lot more R&D and effort that went into one is probably a lot higher. So I can't speak to that Chinese valve you're referring to the quality of it, to the build of it, what materials they used, or if it's just a ripoff and that's why it looks the same. It's gotten really dicey when it comes to the replica market. So choosing a brand that A, stands behind it, and B, is going to be a solid quality product is usually the recommendation that I have, whether it's something that's from us or from anybody else.
No 911 via YouTube says, adding weight to a sporty car, doing a lot of off-roading, I fail to see the point. Even Porsche have moved over to plastic oil panel on the 911 in the new 718.
All right, so this comment was actually left on our oil pan DIY video for Mark 7s. I'll link to that here where you can check out that video. But so basically, there's a lot of people who mention that by adding a steel pan versus the plastic one that comes on the vehicle from the factory, you're adding weight, which obviously everybody has a race car, and so it has to be the lightest it can possibly be. It is heavier. We've actually weighed them. The steel pan is about 3 to 4 pounds heavier than the plastic pan. But the one point I want to touch on was a couple things. One, obviously, you could take out the back seat of your car and shed more than that amount of weight without a problem. So if you really want to talk about weight, if weight is number one concern for you, you shouldn't have a passenger seat or a back seat or a spare tire or a radio, or you could get ridiculous when it comes to weight savings on cars. So making that decision over 3 pounds to me seems a little bit foolish. Most people who obviously do oil pans and stuff like that, upgrades, are looking to save their oil pan because they're low and they want to make sure that they actually can sustain some impacts. Obviously, a steel pan can't withstand infinite amounts of impact, but it will be better than what you would find from the composite plastic pan that's on the vehicle. The one note I also wanted to make on this is a lot of the other options out there, is if you are into weight savings and that type of stuff, the other alternatives to doing a pan is going to be a skid plate, and a skid plate is certainly going to be heavier than that steel pan. So that would be a much lighter alternative to getting a little more protection for a weight that's going to save you a little bit.
Anthony B via YouTube says, "Hey, I'm getting constant misfire on cylinder 4. Although I changed sparks and coils, it is still there. I noticed the fuel injector connector is broken, but the contacts still touch. Is it possible that crosstalk is causing the misfire?"
All right, so this question was actually asked on a video that we recently put out about how to find misfires, how to diagnose misfires. It was with OBD11, and it was pretty in-depth as far as just basic understanding of diagnosing a misfire in a car. The one point I wanted to make on this was, if you have a fuel injector, you know the connector is broken, whenever you're diagnosing anything on a car, it doesn't really matter what it is, you have to fix what you know is broken before you try to diagnose other things. Because if you try to diagnose a problem and let's say you pinpoint that you think this is the problem, and then you replace it. And let's say in this case you replace the fuel injector. You replace the fuel injector and it doesn't fix it. You're always going to question, is that connector the problem, or is there something else going on? So until you address known problems, and this is not just about this specific problem, but this is really all vehicle problems in general, you have to fix what you know is wrong before you can even attempt to fix something that potentially could be wrong. So I would say start by replacing your connector. We have a video that we put out with Charles, the home mechanic, about VW wire terminal tools, which will help you replace that connector. If you need a connector, reach out to us. If you pull the part number off the connector, we can help you get a replacement connector for your car, or you just reach out to us and we might be able to look it up in the catalog as well. So again, start by replacing your connector and then go from there. It could be an injector issue, which is common on, I think you have a TSI car. If you have a TSI car, injector failures are somewhat common, and so that could be your issue.
My 05 Jeep Rubicon had a safety feature that would not allow it to be started without the key. After 3 attempts, it would disable the vehicle and would have to be reset by the dealership. Does the Mark 7 R have any safety features similar to this?
Does the Mark 7 R have this feature that you're referring to? They don't have that specific feature. So basically all VW and Audi models current have what's called a mobilizer. This is pretty much since around 2002. I'm sure there's been some variation changes to it a little bit. But as far as I know, there's no lockout. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I've never heard of anybody's car locking out or been involved with unlocking a car. The only security feature that I'm aware of that locks out on VWs is if you try to enter the radio code too many times, then it will lock you out, and then you would have to leave the key on for a certain amount of time. Maybe key programming might be the same thing, that if you try to program a key too many times, it actually might lock you out too. So in that circumstance, what VW generally does is a timeout system, to where you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can then access the vehicle again. But generally what it's going to be is an immobilizer system, which is if you don't have the correct key that is programmed to the immobilizer of the vehicle, the car is just not going to start. So for an anti-theft to lock you out once you have the correct key, I don't really see that as a benefit, really. I mean, I guess that you could probably come up with a bunch of hypothetical scenarios where it'd be beneficial, but basically the bottom line is you don't have key, car doesn't start. I mean, it's as simple as that. So for an anti-theft feature, that's going to cover you, obviously, unless somebody stole your key, in which case you'd be in trouble no matter what. So hopefully that answers your question about the anti-theft feature on your R. Thank you so much for watching episode 61 of the AskDAP show, where we answer your Volkswagen Audi questions. If you have any questions or comments about the questions answered in this show, be sure to leave in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.